Canada's defense story has always been tied to its geography and its alliances. A country stretching from the Atlantic to the Pacific and deep into the Arctic needs an air force that can operate across vast wilderness, brutal winters, and some of the most remote regions on Earth. Yet for decades, Canada's air fleets struggled under limitations: old aircraft, political compromises, and dependency on its southern neighbor, the United States. For years, the world assumed Ottawa's choice of its next-generation fighter was predetermined. The United States pushed hard for the F-35, promising stealth capabilities, NATO alignment, and a share of jobs in the aerospace industry. Billions were invested in promotion, and political pressure was heavy. But then came a decision no one expected. Canada would choose the Saab Gripen from Sweden. This choice stunned observers because it was not only about an aircraft, it was about independence. The Gripen represents a different philosophy: efficiency, adaptability, and sovereignty over politics and prestige. Unlike the F-35, which ties its operators to American software locks and complex maintenance systems, Gripen gives Canada freedom. It can be serviced domestically, flown without outside approval, and adapted to Canada's unique defense needs. The Gripen is not the most expensive jet in the world, but it may be the smartest. Built for Sweden's survival against larger adversaries, it was designed to operate from roads and improvised runways, maintained by small crews with minimal equipment. For Canada, where Arctic outposts and icy highways may be the only available runways, this is a perfect match. It means Canada's air power is not limited by big bases or fragile infrastructure. Gripen can launch anywhere, anytime. The symbolism of this move reaches deep into Canadian history. Many still remember the Avro Arrow, Canada's own advanced jet project from the 1950s that was cancelled under heavy US pressure. That event marked the loss of Canadian aerospace ambition. Choosing Gripen feels like a form of redemption, a statement that Canada will no longer bow to political pressure when its sovereignty is at stake. Performance-wise, Gripen is a force multiplier. Its electronic warfare system is legendary, capable of confusing enemy radars, jamming communications, and creating phantom targets. In NATO exercises, Gripens have shot down far more expensive jets by making themselves invisible or untouchable. Canadian pilots who trained on the aircraft report feeling liberated. The cockpit design is so intuitive that it reduces workload and allows them to focus entirely on mission strategy. Economics also played a decisive role. The F-35 costs tens of thousands of dollars for every hour it flies. Gripen's operating cost is only a fraction, meaning Canada can afford a larger fleet and keep its jets ready for longer. This is not just about money. It is about sustainability. A fleet that can always fly is far more powerful than a few stealth aircraft stuck on the ground due to maintenance delays. The geopolitical shock was immediate. Washington could not openly condemn Canada's choice without risking NATO division. But the unease was obvious. Defense contractors in the US saw billions slipping away. At the same time, smaller NATO nations struggling with budgets began paying attention. If Gripen could provide equal or superior defense at a fraction of the cost, why should they lock themselves into America's expensive defense system? Canada's decision is more than procurement. It is a strategic shift. It says to the world that Canada is no longer content to play the quiet junior partner. it is asserting control over its destiny. With Gripen, Canada gains not just a jet, but a symbol of independence, a weapon of flexibility, and a platform that can be expanded with drones, satellites, and future technologies. This is the start of something bigger. For Canada, the Gripen is more than a machine. It is a message to allies and rivals alike. The era of compromise is ending, and a new power has taken flight. This is the start of something bigger. For Canada, the Gripen is more than a machine. It is a message to allies and rivals alike. The era of compromise is ending, and a new power has taken flight. Gripen represents a new kind of warfare philosophy, one based on speed, adaptability, and intelligence. Traditional military thinking measures strength in raw numbers: the biggest fleet, the largest bombers, the most expensive stealth jets. But Canada's embrace of Gripen challenges that mindset. In modern conflict, it is not the most expensive jet that wins, but the one that adapts faster. And Gripen adapts faster than any aircraft in the world. The Arctic is where this choice matters most. Melting ice is opening shipping lanes and revealing untapped resources. Russia has already fortified its northern frontier with bombers and missile bases, while China declares itself a near-Arctic power. Until now, Canada's outdated fighters were overstretched and underprepared. Gripen changes that instantly. With its ability to take off from frozen highways, refuel quickly, and redeploy without large bases, it gives Canada a new level of agility in the north. For the first time, Canada is not just defending its Arctic, it is dominating it. Perhaps Gripen's most dangerous weapon is the one you cannot see. Its electronic warfare suite turns battles into confusion. By jamming enemy radars, deceiving missiles, and creating digital ghosts, it denies opponents the ability to fight effectively. In an age where information warfare is as critical as firepower, Canada now wields one of the deadliest invisible weapons in the skies. Critics warned that Canada might isolate itself by rejecting the F-35. But Gripen remains fully NATO-compatible, able to share data and fly alongside Allied jets. The difference is control. Canada owns its Gripens outright, without foreign locks on software or maintenance. Independence, not isolation, is the real story. The historical resonance is powerful. The Avro Arrow's cancellation scarred Canada's national pride. Gripen feels like history corrected. Where ambition once was crushed, it now finds new life. This decision restores faith that Canada can make bold, independent choices in defense of its sovereignty. Already, early training results show Gripen exceeding expectations. Maintenance times are shorter, sortie rates are higher, and pilots report the aircraft feels like a partner rather than a burden. For a military stretched across vast distances, this reliability is priceless. Canada is not just gaining a fighter. It is gaining an air force that can always be ready. The world is taking notice. Smaller nations see Canada as proof that choosing Gripen is not a gamble, but a smart strategy. If others follow, the American monopoly on NATO air power could weaken, shifting the balance of influence across the alliance. Canada may have unintentionally sparked a quiet revolution in global defense procurement. And beyond the politics, there is the psychological effect. For the first time in decades, Canadians see their Air Force not as dependent, but as pioneering. From NATO meetings to Arctic patrols, the message is clear. Canada has stepped out of the shadows. It has the means to defend its sovereignty, challenge rivals, and even lead innovation within NATO. As the first Gripens take to the skies over Canada, a new chapter begins. From frozen Arctic airstrips to international war games, their presence is more than steel and wings. It is a reminder that nations do not need to be superpowers to make superpower choices. Canada's new power is here, and from this moment on, nothing, not the Arctic, not NATO, not the balance of military power itself, will ever be the same again.